Have you ever thought about how pervasive sexual assault is in our society? I'm Olivia.
I'm Annabel.
I'm Lindsay. We're 3 college students who have been thinking about how this is part of our lives. We all know someone who's experienced sexual assault. And we want to ask, in Me Too era, what's it like for victims? Has anything changed? On the surface, the answer seems to be yes.
In 2006, Tarana Burke founded the Me Too movement to raise awareness of the issue that is abuse and assault in our society. Fast forward 11 years to 2017, the Me Too movement exploded largely because of exploits of power in the entertainment industry, more specifically with this guy, Harvey Weinstein, the mogul Hollywood producer.
Actress Alyssa Milano had enough of Weinstein's exploits and tweeted, "If you've been sexually harassed or assaulted, write Me Too" as a reply to this tweet. Millions did.
Suddenly, Me Too was a part of the language, and there was a sense things were shifting. The media displayed stories of survivors and those who got exposed.
Roger Ailes is out. Fox News anchor Bill O'Reilly will not be returning to the O'Reilly Factor.
Dozens of women accused Cosby of sexual assault.
For many women, for our friends, one thing seemed constant. The price of speaking up is still high. And when women do speak, they feel suspect when others wonder, who is she?
I am Molly Aldrich, and I am a survivor of sexual assault. Sophomore year of college, I went on a spring break trip with my 2 best friends at the time, and we went to Bermuda, and we did an all-inclusive package at this resort and went all out and just that dream college vacation that you're traveling with your friends. And I don't drink, but both of my friends were getting drunk off their asses every day. And we were just going to the beach and going to the pool all day long. And then our last night there, one of our friends, so I went with one of my friends, Christine, and then our other friend, and they had bought, when we went into town one day, a bottle of Jim Beam whiskey. And so he drank that entire bottle, which is an absurd amount of alcohol. We hung out for a while longer, and then eventually decided to head in for the night. And then probably 15 minutes later, he came screaming into the room, pounding on the door, lost his room key, completely nude, and just obliterated drunk.
Hello, my name is Carmen. It was Tuesday night, and I got together with some of my friends, and the person that I ended up at their house was someone that I went to Champlain with and who was my freshman year housemate. I got really unexpectedly drunk. Just gonna call and see what my friend is up to, and I was like, "Hey, how are you? Are you up? Do you want to hang out for a little bit?" And he was like, yeah, come over. You're welcome anytime. I was so drunk, and we had smoked a little bit of weed together. And I fell asleep on the bed right in front of the window as soon as we came in.
And so he decided okay, I'm gonna go take a shower. And so I lay down in bed. I heard him puking in the bathroom. So I went in there. He said he was gonna go to sleep in the bathroom in case he needed to wake up and puke again. Then went to check on him. He was asleep. So I was okay, I'm gonna knock out now. When I woke up, he was raping me in my sleep.
I woke up and they were my pants were pulled down. They were grabbing me and kissing my neck, and I was limp, and I was in and out of consciousness, and I remember being so shocked.
In these assault situations, it's frequent for survivors to know their assaulters. These perpetrators can be friends, family, or even employers. One thing that is common with these assaulters is their power and using it to their advantage. That can make it easy for the justice system to dismiss survivors in court.
Media can skew truth, right? And if you have, as we were seeing, if you have power in the United States, as it is might be true in other countries, but let's stick to the U.S. If you have power and you have money, then you're able to skirt certain responsibilities, including the one around violence.
And people, especially women, shouldn't be like held accountable, like, hey, that guy thinks you're pretty, don't lead him on by making eye contact or being nice to him or being a friend, you know? And I say that because this whole thing with the perpetrator, they were telling me afterwards, like, I just loved you so much. Like, I couldn't help it. Like, I always thought you were so beautiful. I loved you so much. Like, that's why I did it. I just couldn't control myself. And I'm like, am I supposed to be flattered?
He was like apologetic. I mean, he texted me immediately after, something along the lines of like, we should talk about what happened last night. Like, I'm so sorry, and essentially apologized.
In February 2020, Harvey Weinstein was convicted on 2 counts of sexual assault. He was later sentenced to 23 years in prison, an outcome tougher than many expected. For some, it was a pivotal moment in the history of sexual assault cases, but many survivors say no amount of jail time will repair the lives he ruined and the careers he destroyed. Others, like Carmen, were simply left with feelings of uncertainty.
Like, I wasn't expecting that to happen, and I was glad that it did, but at the same time, it's like the least that can be done. There's been no attempt to, that I know of reparations for the women and his victims, and he was only held accountable for 2 of the incidents. I believe that there should be a lot more done than just putting someone in jail about it. I think there's transformative justice measures that should be considered and practiced, as well as like preventative ones, of course. It shouldn't have been such a fight. And what about everyone else? What about all the other offenders that are still walking around and not held accountable?
Molly's case went to court, but because the jurisdiction was in Bermuda, out of the United States, the case fell apart. It all unfolded as the Me Too movement was becoming a social media phenomenon.
It blew up so quickly, and there was like all of a sudden hundreds of Facebook posts, and I was like, well, I'm not, like, when you're in the middle of like an investigation, you're like, I'm not going to share my story on Facebook. Like, that feels like BS right now, and I don't want to get in trouble for sharing things I'm not supposed to.
For some, Me Too represented something major, a chance to speak up.
But the Weinstein case gave Molly hope. Hope for survivors and hope for the justice system.
I think the Me Too movement impacted the Weinstein case by getting more voices that had been hurt by him in the actual courtroom. But I think the reverse is actually what's more important, is how the Weinstein case impacted the Me Too movement, in that it really showed that by speaking up, there is actual change.
Despite what some see as progress, there's an uneasiness. Many still feel the judicial system is unfair and does almost everything to rid survivors of their credibility. The question is, what has Me Too changed?
I do think that there's sexism, not in the Me Too movement necessarily, but how the culture responds to the Me Too movement. The narrative about the perpetrator is not getting a fair chance in telling usually his story. This happened so long ago, how do we know that she's just not out to get money or screw him? Sort of the doubt, the response of doubt indicates to me that we don't trust women's stories. I think that the response, if it's backlash, question, anything other than I believe her, tells me something about our culture and how we treat women.
Harvey Weinstein was taken down through a huge amount of effort and force. Doesn't feel like that much, but at least the government and the judicial system is finally taking it somewhat seriously. I think there's a lot more, though, that could be done.
The Me Too movement and the Harvey Weinstein case have had an impact, but it's hard to know what's changed. Survivors of sexual assault will always carry their stories as they try to get back to the people they were. They try to reconfigure who they are while catching glimpses of others who are now in the place they once were. And they continue to wonder, who is she? And will she ever get justice?